Welcome, everyone. Welcome. February Town Commission meeting of Town of Ocean Ridge. Tracy, you could call the roll, please.
Certainly. Vice Mayor Bonfiglio.
Here.
Commissioner Cos.
Here.
Mayor Pugh.
Here.
And please let the record show that Commissioner Askoff is absent with notice.
Okay. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have agenda in front of you. Is there any additions, deletion, modification to the previous minutes?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, public comment. You know, I missed you when you were gone.
Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. Just a couple of things. I know you got a busy meeting, and this might not be the only time I'm up here, but I wanted to get some things. I know that you've talked to someone in our neighborhood regarding the entrance sign and the sort of very unfriendly sign there, but no one objects to the sign. I mean, the language. But and I know the manager is looking at signs around the town. If you could have a little nicer sign there that has the town logo and all that language you put on there.
Well, we're doing a survey of all the signs.
Yeah.
Because remember when we did them, we had I think it was ARC, did them all for us out
Yeah.
there off of Lake 6th Avenue, I believe.
Right.
And he did all the, was 6th Avenue, Betty?
Yeah.
By Plexo?
And he's not there anymore.
Yeah. So we're thinking about, what are we doing a survey for all the signs around town, see how many we really need, and if we have to replace them all, just do
That's
them
why
all.
these comments are timely. So if you can do a sign in front of that median strip, if you could put just Ridge Harbor Estates on there, you know, we got a fancy house going up and people are rebuilding and still rebuilding. But, you know, I think it would add a little something to the neighborhood. And I know we're not the richest neighborhood in the town, but we should get a little consideration. At any rate, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about regarding that entrance is that I also had a brief conversation with the manager regarding the median strip and the plants that are there. And some people, of course, want a more of a curb appeal, blooming flowers and fountains and all kinds of other, I'm exaggerating for effect.
No, you're
but,
not, yeah.
but you know, you have 3 sable palms, which are state trees,
Yeah.
the Florida state tree. You have beautiful silver buttonwood, which is also native. You have some cocoa plum. You do have a mess in the front there. I don't know, the other manager got something planted there that's terrible. If you just would, you know, concentrate on the entrance there, I think it would come out a lot better.
Where you put the sign right there.
Well, right behind the sign, there's plenty of room there. A gumbo limbo or something else, a majestic entrance tree or something. Anyway, it's just a thought.
Okay.
I'd hate to see all that stuff torn out of there, and you put in a lot of stuff that's gonna cost you water and fertilizer and annual planting all the time, which is what it would take to keep it blooming. Anyway, the main reason why I got up here tonight is that there's an issue, and I'm sure it's occurring all over town, because I know it is, this renting through internet of houses, residential properties, renting through a home away and vacation rental by owners and all of these other sites. I know that one of our neighbors sold her house and an investor came in and is renting it. Now, you have a rule regarding 30 days.
Right.
And that's, I have a quote here from your own, town ordinance. Vacation rental means a attached or detached dwelling that is rented, leased, subleased, assigned for a period less than 30 days. Now, these people are renting, they advertise. I have all these advertisements from the website. They advertise minimum stay 7 days. And we had this rental next to us that rented for a couple of times for a week at a time. Now there's longer-term tenants in there. And I know this is a problem for the police department to go and knock on the door. I didn't complain. That was one thing I did not complain about. One of our neighbors complained because she's put a lot of money in her house and she doesn't want to see transit rentals coming and going every week. She thinks it would depress her property values, which I'm sure it might. At any rate, the officer knocked on the door, and the people told him that they were there for 3 months. Who really knows? But the point is that none of the documentation I got from the clerk's office on any of the notices or letters or the registration of the leases ever mentions this language, prohibited uses. The following uses are specifically prohibited in a single-family residential district: vacation rentals or transit housing. Nowhere. Now, when the officer goes to the door, they ask people how long they're there, but nowhere in any of these documents that you sent out, the letter, the renewals, does it say, this is a reminder that vacation rentals less than 30 days are prohibited by the town code. And I think that would be helpful. Because by the time you catch up with these people, they're gone, right?
Yeah, but don't we have a?
And these people are getting, by the way, these people are getting $14,000, $15,000 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, are there fines, Jamie?
Yeah, but
I'm sorry.
Are there
for the-
fines for a landlord that rents less than 30 days?
well, you got to bring them in front of the board. and everything.
There are, if they're in violation of our code, but things like Airbnb and things that Terry's referring to here, much of that is exempted under state legislative action if we didn't have specific prohibitions in our code prior to 2011.
Well, we do. 2005 is when that code went in.
Chief?
The issue that comes in often is that the advertisement of a rental less than 30 days is not a violation. We have had discussion with the Department of Real Estate and numerous other state agencies regarding that. So the enforcement issue with the town under the ordinance comes in with us being able to show that they're being rented. We attempted to regulate some of that with our rental registration ordinance. We continue to follow through on those. We look at Airbnb and we see the rental notices, so we get an idea of where someone may be going and try and monitor the traffic in that area and then contact the owners or the realtors regarding that. The best thing that I could suggest is that if someone in a neighborhood sees what they believe to be an illegal or unlawful vacation rental, to notify town hall. They can check and see if it is registered under the ordinance, and that would give them an immediate answer as to yes, it is or is not. And if it is not, town hall then refers it to us, and we attempt to do an investigation to determine if there's a violation that we can follow up on. If we find that there is, it is a code enforcement issue, and we give them the notice to correct within a certain period of time under the ordinance, and then we bring them before the special magistrate if they don't adhere to that. We had considerable rentals for a period of time. It died down a little bit, and I see it picking back up.
We got
again, so-
4 on our street, and 2 of them are not registered. But they're long-term tenants, so, I mean, the lease is not registered. The other big problem that's occurring.
It's difficult for us, with all due respect, it's difficult for us as police officers who are riding through the neighborhood to determine what a long-term tenant rental is.
I agree.
Without overstepping our authority and disturbing someone's peaceful right to enjoyment of their property sometimes.
But you have this new automated system. People are going to be punching that in all the time.
And if we go to, and I know what you're referring to as See-Click Fix, and when that launches, that will be the perfect avenue for people to report these types of incidents, and we'll follow up on them.
Anyway, I have a lot of examples from the internet. Someone's collecting 12% taxes. The other thing that's a major problem is that some of these homes, and I have a list of some, that may have the lease registered, but the homestead exemption is still there. They have $50,000 off the assessed value. The exemption hasn't been removed, and the property value hasn't gone up to the market value. So I know that you're not the tax assessor or tax collector, but it's money that the town would get.
Right.
So who's supposed to report that? Some neighbor, some jerky neighbor is supposed to call up the property appraiser and say, hey, you know, this house is still homesteaded and it's been homesteaded for 2 years while they're renting it out? I mean, whose responsibility is that? I mean, is that something that
The property appraiser and Palm Beach County bed tax plays into all of this, and as a matter of fact, there is on the property appraiser's website, there is a hotline and an ability to report those tax violations anonymously to the tax collector, who will come through and follow up on them. They did a sweep please don't quote me on the exact time, somewhere within the last 2 years, they did a complete sweep of Palm Beach County, and they focused on several areas in Ocean Ridge, and it's unfortunate that some of our residents were caught up in that and had considerable tax fines on failure to pay bed tax
Well, that-
and homestead exemption withdrawals and things like that.
That's not unfortunate. I mean, we're paying the taxes, and
But
they're
what I'm
not.
saying is, it was unfortunate for those particular residents,
Yeah.
they got caught up in this, but it was obviously a lesson well learned on some people that they can't.
So you're saying that it's really the neighborhood property owners that's supposed to report this, and not report it to a taxing authority that we live in? Like in the town or the town manager, and have them follow up? I mean, it's money that you're losing.
Well, I don't see why you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
report.
there you go. I hope that whatever happens with the election, that you remain mayor. I mean, you really are a refreshing addition to the commission. Not that the other folks don't have their pros and cons.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks,
At
Terry.
least you don't attack me when I come up.
So if you report that to us and we find that there is a sustained violation of that, we do pass that on to the tax collector. It doesn't preclude you, from taking that independent action yourself and asking them to come.
Thanks, Chief. Yes, ma'am.
Stella Kolb, 204 Beachway. I agree with Terry,
Uh-oh.
but I wanted, and there's no buts with that, Terry, but I want to say that I do think it's the responsibility for every homeowner here who does pay taxes, if they see something unlawful going on, report it. And we can't report it if we can't report it to you, which I don't know if that falls in your jurisdiction, I would just call the tax people, because I also own a second property that I'm not homesteaded at, and I pay a lot of taxes, as many people here do. And I also thought, I thought I remembered, probably not correctly, that we had to have at least 2 months rental in Ocean Ridge. And another thought I want to just tell you is, I was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks late paying my rental, and one of the officers, who was very nice, Stell, I think you need to, I said, oh, shoot, I forgot. So if they can be on me, I'm sure we can find out who is not paying their fair share of renting a house. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella.
I have a positive message.
Well, that's all positive measures. Because
Yes,
the
yes.
thing about, what's right about it is that the town makes 90% of our money for the town to do all these services are from ad valorem taxes.
So it is
From
all-
property taxes. So if people aren't paying their fair share, it affects all of us. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Kimberly Duke Marshall. I am speaking on behalf of the Ocean Ridge Garden Club this evening. I live at 5905 North Ocean. On behalf of the board and the general membership, this is a thank you for your generous contribution towards our 50th anniversary celebration and all that we have going on this season, but more specifically to the publishing of the Barrier Island booklet that each one of you have a copy, and the local community will also receive a copy in the March edition of the Coastal Star. So it's about best practices in gardening in our unique coastal community, and something that we feel that each of the residents would enjoy having, and useful guide for others that move in. We also have a public event going on March 21st and 22nd, which is open to the community and surrounding areas with lecture series and various exhibitions. So we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you very
again.
much. Thank you.
Oh, and Marilee Lindquist would like to talk about the koi pond with Dr. Wiggy.
Right.
Marilee Lundquist, 6277 North Ocean Boulevard.
Jim Wiggy, Sable Island Drive.
Okay, we're tag teaming you here tonight. The koi pond has been such a wonderful addition to our community. Makes us happy every time we come and watch them swim around. It was originally donated from funds that were given by Tom and Paul McGinty family. And it was originally a rubber or plastic, can you tell us what the original construction was?
Oh, I'm not sure what the original construction was, but it fractured shortly after it had been put in, drained, and the town did not have enough funds in the general fund to restore it to its original state. And that's when I volunteered to start a committee to raise funds to do that and maintain it afterward.
Well, Dr. Wiggy is a veterinarian, and he took his time and his own money to keep the koi pond in good shape. He's a very dedicated person. I don't know how many people we have like this gentleman in this town, but we really appreciate all the years and hard work and dedication. And all along the Ocean Ridge Garden Club, we've always set aside some money to support Dr. Wiggy. Not enough, but then it got so overwhelming, and the Pugh family donated their expertise and rebuilt the pond, so it is a wonderful structure now. And for the town, the Ocean Ridge Garden Club, we have this little fishbowl, which we passed around at our meeting. You can see there's money in there already. And I do have permission from the town manager to keep this up in Town Hall as a reminder and kind of a community thought for the fish that people can contribute to this. So I'm going to put it out in the hall, and if any of you have a lot of spare change in your pocket or it's weighing down your purse, we'd be happy to take it off your hands here. So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Wiggy.
It may not be a bad idea to have a bowl for maintaining the pool, the pond also. I mean, when I was taking care of it, it was relatively inexpensive, and I got contributions from a number of people, including some of you commissioners. You contributed on a regular basis, as did some of our people in town on a regular basis, including myself, to keep it running. But then when things really got out of hand and beyond my scope of expertise, that's when I had to find a pond and fountain specialty to take care of it, and of course the expense has risen considerably. I don't know how much donations we'd get from the population in Ocean Ridge as far as contributing towards the maintenance of the pond, but it might not be a bad idea to have the opportunity for them to do that, because there were a certain number of people that would stop here in Town Hall and leave checks, including kids would leave $1 here and there. It was really kind of cute. But it's just a thought. I mean, this is a good idea for raising funds for the food for the fish themselves, but maybe another box or little basin for contributing funds towards the maintenance act wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Maybe this could be a general fund.
Just
We do
a
have
thought.
a maintenance company that comes in now, I mean, it's in our town budget, to do the pond. How many days a week they come in there?
Well, they come every month.
Every
We did take over full maintenance with Southern Pond, the company
Yeah.
we were working with, and they're also working to replace the entire infrastructure, the
Yes.
pumps and filters and all the
Now, is this
mechanics
still
of it.
the Shannon fellow?
Shannon, yeah, from
Yeah.
Southern
No,
Pond.
he's
Same guy.
extremely good at what he does. And he did say that the equipment was going to fail and would have to be replaced, and that was
It's
very
already in the works,
expensive, yeah.
and
I
it's
know.
been budgeted for by direction of the commission. So
Excellent.
it's covered, but we will gladly welcome additional
Yeah. I mean,
contributions to the cause.
If people want to contribute, we have a little box up front. It may not be a whole lot, but hey, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
And the garden club does want to be involved as much as we can too, so, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Bob Weissblue, 23 Sailfish. I didn't know till I just sat down, you were talking about doing something with the signs in the town. So I thought I'd, off the top of my head, make these comments. When I read the signs going to the beaches, it sounds like instructions for a prisoner in a jail. No, 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 no. I would like to see a sign that makes it look like it belongs to a nice small little town that says, "Welcome to Ocean Ridge. Please enjoy the beach. We'd appreciate your cooperation and not littering. Thank you for your cooperation." It would do the same thing, but it would certainly make a nicer impression. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Anyone else? Hey, Betty. That was me that beeped at you today.
I have to respond to that. I think what this commission needs to do is set up rules and regulations. We're going to have a huge population over there. They need to know that they can't pick the sea oats. There's a fine for doing it. They can't disturb the turtles. There's a fine for doing it. They can't run on the dunes, which are private property. There should be a fine for doing it. I heard some people say, when we get a group of people over there, we can come with 20 cars and park on Old Ocean, and they won't be able to arrest all of us at one time. I think maybe we better start getting our ducks in a row so the people can enjoy the beach. Everybody can enjoy the beach, but they behave like human beings on the beach.
Thank you, Betty. I think it took 6 months to do the signs we have up there now. But anyway, anyone else for public comment? Okay, moving on. All right, so we have the approval of the consent agenda. Anybody want to approve the consent agenda? Oh, we approved the consent agenda.
No,
Let's
we
move on.
approved the regular agenda, we didn't approve the consent. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, announcement and proclamations. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, February 20th in observance of President's Day. The municipal election will be held March 14th, 2017. There are 2 commission seats open for a 3-year term. The candidate filing dates run from noon on January 31st through noon on February 14th, Valentine's Day. The police department will be hosting Coffee with a Cop in the community room at Town Hall on Wednesday, February 22nd from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay. Is that you, Chief?
That will be myself and some of my officers and your staff.
Okay. The town will be providing free shredding services to residents on Saturday, April 22nd from 9 a.m. until noon at Town Hall. All right, moving on to public hearings. Tracy?
An application submitted by Stephen Raymond as trustee for the Raymond Equities Trust, 6155 North Ocean Boulevard, Ocean Ridge, Florida, 33435, requesting a land development permit from the provisions of Land Development Code, Article 2, Coastal Construction, Section 67-17, Coastal Construction and Excavation Setback Line, Subparagraph A, Setback Line Established, and Subparagraph H, Existing Structures to permit the construction of a new seawall that will extend a maximum of 215 feet plus or minus east of the Coastal Construction Control Line located at 6155 North Ocean Boulevard.
All right, thank you. All right, the applicant I see is here. Mr. Raymond, you're here. All right, so we all have read this. Any other conversation on it, Brian?
No, sir, I don't think so. If the, I don't know if the applicant has anything to add to what you have in front of you.
No, I think we pretty much crossed every T and dotted every I, but you're welcome to.
Well, I wanted to thank the commission and the mayor, Jamie, and council for the help they've given us to get this far. And I'm just hoping that, all the permits we needed to get, we got the turtle people, we got this, it's amazing. And we're going to do a good job. And the only thing I have to ask is that, and I mentioned it before, they've really shortened the window on us and given us an extra 17 days through March. And this is a 3-month project we're going to cram into 40 days. So I may need to come here or ask you now for a special dispensation to work a little longer and get this thing completed in the time allotted me. So once again, everybody's been terrific, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody make a motion?
What is the motion? Accept the application by Stephen Raymond? Or do we
Yeah,
have to
move
go
to
through
accept
whole
the
thing?
application subject to all applicable permitting requirements and meeting all the applicable code and zoning requirements for town of Ocean
Okay,
Ridge.
motion to accept the application submitted by Stephen R. Raymond for the property at 6155 Old Ocean Boulevard, as long as it meets all CCCL guidelines and town codes.
Requirements and any other applicable requirements.
Any other applicable requirements.
Seconded.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to, Tracy, you want to move on to number 7?
Sure. An application submitted by Bradley Miller, Miller Land Planning Incorporated, 508 East Boynton Beach Boulevard, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435, representing the owner Ronald Kerrigan, 30 Angleton Street, Tenafly, New Jersey, 07670, requesting a public hearing regarding the provisions of the Land Development Code at Chapter 64 Zoning, Article 5, Subdivision, Section 64-100 through 64-105, pertaining to replatting requirements. The applicants are requesting the approval of a final plat for a 5.176-acre property located on the north side and at the terminus of Thompson Street, which was originally platted as Lot 44 and Lot 39 in Plat Book 18, page 45, recorded in 1938, proposing a reconfiguration of the 2 lots to allow for 2 developable lots and replat. The 2 new lots are configured so that both contain upland areas and meet town code regulations for the development of a single-family home on each lot. The 2 lots will meet zoning requirements for RSF Residential Single Family District.
Ryan, have anything else?
No, other than basically if the motion is to approve this, then I would appreciate it if you could have it approved subject to the conditions that would include that the applicant must provide a letter of credit regarding the improvements made to the property, that the roadway improvements shall be paid for by the infrastructure improvements shall be paid for by the applicant as depicted on the submitted plans, and that the applicant has agreed to a restrictive covenant being filed, that there shall be no other subdivision provided for this property.
Did you get that, Tracy? Okay, so, is there an applicant here?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Bradley Miller, Miller Land Planning, 508 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. And for starters, I want to say working with your new staff has been great over the last several months. This project went to the P&Z almost a year ago in March, and we've been working with them to get to this point, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and they've been fantastic to work with. This is a piece of property that's platted now into 2 lots, and what the proposal in very simplistic terms is to moving the lot line over 95 feet to accommodate 2 developable lots. I can go into as much detail as you want. We have a lot over the last several months. There were some of the items from P&Z have been addressed of making sure that the access road is owned and maintained by the new property owners as they come in to these lots, that the drainage situation on the end of Thompson Street is accommodated, which our design with Mr. Pepe has made sure that we're being held there, and that it remain as 2 lots in perpetuity, which Mr. Schutt has made sure that we do by a restrictive covenant. So be happy to address some comments. I've got some graphics here if you want to see more.
Well, I just want to make one comment to make sure, I'm looking at you, Lisa, is that the water, it's going to be rainwater, and any water that falls on their property is not going to affect the property owners on Harbor Drive North and going down that side. So, just want to make absolutely on the record.
I reviewed the conceptual construction plans for the Thompson Street improvements, and they've addressed the issues on a conceptual standpoint as to adverse impacts to adjacent property owners. They are, by letter of credit, putting up 110% of the estimated cost to construct the improvements within the right-of-way. So they've when the time comes for a construction permit to be pulled, we will request a set of plans and again review them in accordance with our code.
Okay.
And if it doesn't get constructed, as Brian stated, then we will utilize the letter of credit and construct it ourselves, and hopefully that won't be the case.
Okay.
there's going to be a letter of credit of about over $77,000 that'll be held for surety of those improvements. Part of that is the drainage to accommodate your concern.
Okay. Joe, are you doing the drainage plan?
Yes, we are. I'd be happy to
Okay.
expound upon our approach if you'd like.
Yeah, could you just for short, I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, just,
Is there any drawings or pictures that we can see the drainage concept?
well, I don't know if we may have that.
Just for the record, I'm Joe Pike, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, good evening, with Enviro Design Associates, and I am the civil engineer of record. Essentially, as Lisa had indicated, we take care and will take care of the town requirements in terms of drainage for the site itself. That is really all we're required to do, but in addition to that, we've been working very closely with Jamie, with Lisa, because Thompson was not perfect to begin with. It never will be perfect, but we're going to improve upon that by putting a separate drainage system to address the runoff from the high point of Thompson. That's hard to, I'm sorry, do you have anything to show?
There's an easel over there, if you'd like to put it on that.
This is actually, if I can put it where the audience can see as well. Essentially, there's a high point on Thompson, roughly in this area, and it sheets towards the west and just goes into the grassy area. We're addressing that by extending that, putting a turnaround for fire trucks, and in conjunction with that, we're putting a drainage system right at the end to capture that. We're dedicating land to put swales just for the road system, so it's going to take that water in. And that's separate and apart from what we're doing on-site to address the regulatory requirements for the drainage on-site.
All right, so it looks like you have addressed that concern.
I would
Finbar, did you see that?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
You can just go ahead and turn it around.
Turn that around, so you
Actually,
don't- yeah.
I don't know if this will flip on. We place structures right here where the road terminates at the moment. Trench drain across there, that will capture that, put it into swales alongside, it will cascade down, and basically slow the water down, so it doesn't rush into the wetland like it does right now. And again, that's just for the road. We'll have a separate on-site system to address the drainage requirements for the town code when we develop those two lots. And for, of course, our private roadway as well, will be a separate system from the Thompson Street system. So my only question is that, how do we know what will work? How do we know it will work? Well, it's my license on the line, it's my livelihood essentially. But, you know, I always hesitate when people say, I don't want a drop of water to, you know, that's not realistic. We meet regulatory requirements. That's what we design for. It's like, you know, a bumper for a car, you can only design for a certain, you know, have a test or have a crash, you know, that will exceed any speed limit. So we basically meet the regulatory requirements, and again, we're not required, I don't think, statutorily to do anything for Thompson, but we are improving upon that. The developer has agreed to do that.
All right. Any questions?
Public comments?
Sure.
This is a public hearing, right?
Mhm.
I know I brought this up at the.
Thank you, Joe.
a
Thank you,
year
Mr.
ago
Miller.
About the drainage, and our neighbors were concerned about it. And I know that he said that, and Lisa Tropepi, our town engineer, said that they would meet the regulations. Now, does that mean it's being approved by the South Florida Water Management District? As you know, that wetland runs into state waters, and anything that runs into state water must be captured before it goes into state waters. Captured and filtered before it drains in state water. Now, he's talking about having a little bit of a catch basin, as I understand it, right there. And no one has discussed this town ordinance or code that requires property owners to capture only 1 inch of water. And I brought this up, and people attacked me, when it really should be 2 inches of water on a property like that, as high as it is. All of the water now flows right down into the wetland and percolates in through the natural area and then goes into the state waters. This doesn't sound like, if it's a heavy rain with 10, 12 inches, that it's going to capture the runoff from that property, which now would go directly down into wetlands. It's going to force it over to Thompson Street, and it's not going to contain all that water, and it's going to go straight down Thompson Street to your house. Or it's going to go into the state waters without being filtered and contained. Am I correct? Is that, the South Florida Water Management District?
Lisa, you can speak up. So.
I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong about this.
Well, first, let me say that this project is not under the jurisdiction of South Florida Water Management District.
Why is that? Because it doesn't run to state waters? The runoff won't run to state waters?
Well, everything runs to state waters. So then if you were to use that as a criteria, then every kind of improvement that we do here in the town would have to go through South Florida Water Management District. But there are exemptions, and this one is one of them. With respect to direct runoff into the wetlands, there will be no direct runoff into the wetlands. We have asked the applicant actually to give to the town 15 feet?
Correct.
We've asked them to give us 15 feet in order for them to construct a series of swales that will capture the water. So we're not directly running off into the wetland.
Yeah, everything sounds great, believe me. And I think I don't even live on that side of the street, he does. The problem is that people keep quoting that we're going to meet the regulatory requirements. Well, we all know that the regulatory requirements are not going to capture all the water. We've had 10, 12 inches of rain in this town often. And the water just and not only does the water come up from the, from the ocean, and then you have the water coming down from the rain, you're going to have a problem there. I mean, just
Terry,
right now.
But they're meeting and exceeding the requirements.
Yeah,
There's also donating that
I
15
appreciate the
feet.
comments.
It's quite a...
I'll live long enough to come back and tell you what happens. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this? Okay, back to the commission.
I'm not going to add this.
Well, most of it...
All right.
She can read it, sure.
I'll move to approve the replat of the submission as requested, as set, with the considerations and conditions as set forth in the plat documents, and the restrictive covenant, which prohibits subdividing more than 2 lots, which is what it is now.
Correct.
Before I continue, is that a document going to be recorded?
Yes, it will.
Okay. And conditioned on posting a surety bond, no, a letter of credit.
A letter of credit of 110% of the value.
110% of the value for the town to draw on in the event that they do not complete the project.
Yes, and the third condition would be basically that the infrastructure is constructed by and maintained by the property owners.
And the construction is built and maintained by the property owner.
Correct.
In perpetuity.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
Why do I always get designated to do this?
You get the long ones. All right, Jamie, your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. My report is in your backup package. I'll touch on a couple things, and if I can go out of order, I do have a company representative here this evening from DBI Aquagenics, who is our contract vendor for maintenance and related stormwater functions in the Woolbright detention area. His name is Mark Malloy, and I just wanted him to step up for a few minutes and give you a very brief synopsis of the work we've been doing down at the Woolbright detention area. And I would point out to the casual observer that if you look at it, it looks awful, and that's because we're breaking it to fix it. So there's a lot of dead plant material and a lot of new plant seedlings and things that are in the works there that the casual observer might not observe yet, but there's a lot of work going on into the Woolbright detention area, and I invited Mark here to give you a brief synopsis and answer any questions you may have.
Well, welcome, Mark.
Good evening. We did the removal of the exotics. It was pretty invasive. We removed the exotics, treated a lot of the vines that were growing behind some of the yards. We have a proposal out now to basically treat fence to fence, if that makes sense. Aquagenics DBI, his mother company, was only treating a portion of it. So you're only putting a Band-Aid on what you had out there. So it kind of looks like a bomb went off out there because everything is dead. We installed a bunch of plantings out there which will continue to grow and help filter the water, and that's what that area was designed for. We also have another proposal for storm drainage to inspect quarterly, literally lifting every single lid, measuring sediment all throughout the whole entire town, which I will give to I'll give Jamie this evening.
Okay.
The proposal was for Aquagenics DBI to come in every month and treat fence to fence on the property instead of just a small portion.
Now, that'll be enough to keep that in working
Yes, sir.
order?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Now, what about the part where it's underground, where the roots have gone into that?
Underground, we were going to put some more plants out there, and I told everybody, no. I want to see how this works now with removing a lot of the exotics. I need to see it firsthand on the spring high tide, full moon high tide, fisherman's high tide. We all have different names for it. And also want to see it during a heavy rain occurrence. Then we can approach that. That's a proposal that we've already submitted if we see that. There's no reason to spend that money right now until I see that firsthand and see what's going on. My main concern is getting the storm drainage, catch basins inspected. So if we can stop that now, it'll see what it'll do for us later on down the road. And we do a lot of these, especially for Target and some other neighborhoods, that we inspect them quarterly. There's no reason to do it monthly. It's a waste of revenue. Quarterly inspections, it's a report of every basin, a picture, a measurement of sediment, picture of that for every single one inside the whole entire community.
Okay, and we have
Let me just add to that, we're already inspecting all the catchment basins for stormwater, working with the engineer, working with this company. We have a company that comes out and vacuums and does regular maintenance on that. And we just deployed barnacle busters who went around and de-scalified or de-marine lifed all our flap valves and various gate valves that are in the system. So there is a comprehensive system-wide approach going on to the fact that this facility is 11 years old and needs a major upgrade. And so it looks a little messy right now, but we think the functionality is going to be far better at the end of the day.
Let's wait till it rains again, we get that high tide back up before we start breaking ground. What we did, it's a good shot at work. The exotics aren't supposed to be in there anyways. So when that happens, we can approach it then.
Okay, so this is basically the infrastructure maintenance program that we were talking about.
It's been stepped up considerably, and our theory is that just the improvement in the biosphere portion of this will actually improve the functionality of the subterranean pipes and drain fields. Less sediment, less roots, less garbage that makes its way into it.
We had a lot of trees in there that weren't supposed to be there. Basically, anything supposed to be there, just small plantings to help filter the water. When they get into the sock drainage, they clogged it up. So 11 years, I've seen them go for 20 years, and I've seen them go for 3 years. It all depends what is coming in.
How about standing water that's there?
Standing water, there's a pocket you have there now. We'll call it a little pond. It's not really supposed to be there.
Is that the one next to where the pump discharges are?
That's actually supposed to be a little bit deeper. If you look at as-built from what I've looked at, it actually showed it being deeper, but that's just sediment coming in. It's doing what it's designed for. But after a while, you have to get into an excavator and actually just dig some of that sediment out. The socks, we don't know how the socks look. I would assume that they're contaminated with debris and things like that.
Okay, so how are we going to deal, and when we're going to deal with that?
That is up to you, but I would prefer we wait until we get the next high tide
So you can see what's going
or a
on?
heavy rain. I think it's kind of jumping the gun a little bit, and me just throwing a number out there to fix it, I'm not that kind of person.
Okay.
I want to see it firsthand. I want to get out there, measure the sediment, and get a feel for it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Any questions?
Not a problem.
Just one last note, Mark didn't touch on this, but the reason the dead vines are hanging is they have to fall. If, as they explained to us, if they pull them down, they actually spread the seed pods and make it worse. So that's why you have that visual curtain, if you will, that's...
What kind of vines are those?
I call them, it's a Japanese vine. It's actually a vine that you used to get in a gift basket when you were in the hospital with a little stick on it, big leaf vine. We have different names for it. Very invasive vine. It just literally overtakes it. Behind several of the homes, it's all over it. With
So
Brazilian
is
pepper.
this vine elsewhere in town? In other words, should homeowners know about this? First I've ever heard
They
of it.
still sell it at Home Depot.
So what are you supposed to do? If you
They
have
still
it in
sell
your
it-
house, cut
they-
it at the roots and let it die, then take it
You
down?
have to spray, we treat it with several different herbicides, and then keep retreating it. That's why it's important to keep that under a maintenance account, because that portion was not. We were only doing a small portion. It's a very aggressive vine. It's literally, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's right there by the checkout counter. And a lot of our invasives, they still sell.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
that. All right, Jamie?
Thank you. More news. Thank you. I won't go into, there's already been discussion about the sign program. We're looking into various options there, and we'll bring a proposal forward to you in the future. I just wanted to mention briefly on the town paving program, we're working very closely with Lisa Tripepi and Ingenuity engineering firm, who have worked on the infrastructure for this for many years. We've got a matrix created of the whole street system in Ocean Ridge, and we even have a grading system that was put together by Public Works a few years back that we're going through systematically and assessing the actual condition of each street in the town. We've already identified some key streets. One that comes to mind right off the top of my head is Anna and Engel. That area, there's a lot of historic deterioration and construction-related deterioration that's occurred there. So we're looking at areas like that that will probably be the first out-of-the-box RFPs for our paving program as we go through the rotational paving program. Most of the streets, many of them are in quite good shape or have been updated in the last few years because of drainage projects and other reasons. So we're going to focus on the ones that need it the worst. At some point, Lisa's firm will want to do some surveying and boring and some other related stuff to finalize the plan. But we have enough information to go on now that we can start developing the RFP and getting the initial pieces of paving quotes out there for us to enact on. And I'll try not to be like typical government and start paving in the middle of high season. We'll wait till the traffic quiets down a little before we do that. So that's just an update on the traffic system. I put a note in here. We've been inundated with public records requests, and certainly our building business is booming. So staff on every corner of the building has been very, very busy, and it's had the practical impact of slowing down some of the things that we need to get done and turn around. But all hands are on deck to facilitate and help staff. Our intern, who has been working free of charge for months and months, we might give her a few hours and compensate her for that to assist administration, building, and dispatch and everyone else in terms of compiling all these records that we're being flooded for, but we're trying to keep everything on track in terms of performing the service expected to our constituents. Finally, there was a mention about the Coffee with a Cop program. We're working on a beta program, an app for people to report by their phone, their website, their tablet, however, things they see in the community so that we can get them into a database and generate default work tickets for Public Works to make sure they get addressed quickly, and then actually aggregate and report that data on a regular basis. We hope to roll that out in a test version, a focus group, if you will, utilizing the Coffee with a Cop program, and show them some of the features of that app that we're currently trying to formulate for the town. Final note, just so you know, the mayor and I, for the next less than 48 hours, are going to Washington and advocating for the town in front of our congressional delegation. That ought to be very interesting with everything going on. But there are a number of municipal issues that include beach erosion and FEMA funding issues and natural things, as well as sober homes, vacation rentals, all kinds of things that fall under state and federal regulation, and we hope to advocate positive outcomes for municipalities and home rule on those matters. So unless you have any questions, that's my report this evening.
Any question for Jamie?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Brian, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
You've done enough already, right?
Right.
Chief?
Good evening. Attached, you should find the monthly report for December. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end of my little presentation. I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody who attended the identity theft seminar that we presented in January. Very well attended, approximately 30 people. The feedback that we got was it was very informative, and folks have asked if we would do it again, and we are considering a different time and date so that we can get some more people involved. I'd like to beat the dead horse of the Coffee with a Cop and make sure everybody understands that that is 7:30 to 9. It is not a formal presentation. It is for everyone to show up, have a cup of coffee, perhaps a bagel or a donut. We call them power rings in my business. And have the opportunity to be candid and ask the questions that perhaps you don't want to ask us in a public forum, such as this, but in a public forum where we can give you answers, or we can find the answers to the questions that you have. I'm proud to announce that the Dispatch Center has been recertified as a training center. It's a huge undertaking. We go through that every 2 years, and I wanted to recognize telecommunicator Supervisor Simpson and trainer Courtney Barreca for their participation in that program. The police department is proud to announce that we received $5,000 grant from our insurance company. We should get a check on February the 9th to go toward reimbursement of purchase of our radios as a safety grant. In addition, we've been awarded from the University of South Florida a $2,000 grant to assist us in bicycle and pedestrian education, which is something that happens every season. It will help us to pay for overtime for officers so that they can be dedicated to that and not take away anything from the regular patrols of the town. Also, attached to your agenda, you may have seen a proposed new police department patch. It was designed by members of the agency. It is unfortunate we are out of the current blue and white patches that we have had for many years. And in keeping with the branding of the town, and I've heard this on street signs and town signs and the logo in the front on the kiosk that was donated to the town when we built the building here. The logo has morphed into being a turtle for the town of Ocean Ridge. We'd like to incorporate that. We'd like to be proud of our founding date of 1931, and at the same time show that we are the police. We're proposing that you authorize us to move forward on replacement of these patches as we go forward with replacement of uniforms with the new town police department patch.
Well, I certainly like them.
So all your officers agree, they like this patch.
I've had a lot of comments about, can we change it to something else? Over the past 3 to 4 months, I've asked for input from everyone. That is the input that we got from those who are willing to give us positive, constructive, rather than can we have crossed knives and swords and can we get a crown? And, it's an aesthetic thing, but no one has said, oh, it's absolutely terrible. I think it keeps with the town's branding, which I think is extremely important, especially in light of what we face in trying to maintain our autonomy. Is that a nice way of putting things?
Betty, what do you think? Come on up. Because because Betty was actually this was 15 years ago or so that Betty came up with the idea of turtles on the street signs.
Yeah, and I think I still have a whole batch of different turtle designs, if you want to try and find. I don't know what's on it looks like there's a golf ball or golf club on the end of that turtle's nose. I think you can make it a little, but I think the turtle's an excellent idea, and I do have a lot of drawings.
No, it doesn't work. We tried it.
We tried a green one.
It'll be crispier.
It's too
when
much color and it's cost too much
But
money.
does that not look like a golf club on the end of his nose?
Oh, now we're not going to start beating it. Come on.
It'll be crispier when it's actually done, right? Hal?
It does. It looks.
There you go.
See,
You want to put that
Can
on
you put
the,
that on
let's
the,
put that on
It
the
doesn't-
overhead,
I don't
chief.
think- I don't think it works on Alamo as well as I thought it would.
it doesn't?
No.
Let's try.
Yeah, that works good.
So Betty, you've wrecked it for us all now.
If someone has a cuter turtle that we can add into this, the graphic design from more.
Let's have a turtle contest.
Oh, my gosh.
I won't
Can we just
point
vote on it and be done with it?
design most of this,
Well, we can tell the designer to make it a little.
understanding that we are limited by the number of colors that we can
Yeah, because
add
you think
because
it's
of
the,
the cost of the-
Let's get that.
we tried a green and it just,
It wasn't, didn't pop as much.
Turtles.
I don't know. All right, so,
They were trying to follow
you
the
wanna have a,
manager's beak
you
type
need a-
nose.
We don't need a
and-
motion for that. We just need
Consensus, I guess?
Consensus?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion for that?
No, I think consensus would be okay if you want to move forward with.
Chief, I think it's consensus. Steve, you all right with the
Yeah.
turtle?
Yeah.
I think it's consensus. Please move ahead with the new patches.
We will work with Ms. Kolb and Ms. Bingham to come up with a turtle that does not have a golf club.
Well, probably just blacking in the nose, you're done.
And to close, I've enclosed some commendations from the last few months that I inadvertently left off the last time we did commendations. And I think it's important to recognize the work of the town's police officers for the good work and things that they do on a regular basis. Do you have no further questions?
I think we're set. Thank you, Chief. All right, it's going to move on to confirm the hiring of a dispatcher clerk, Jennifer Cohen.
Gentlemen, I would like to request your approval to hire a new police dispatcher. We have one unfilled vacancy at this point in time. Ms. Cohen applied, has passed all the background, and has come to us with her 911 PST certification. She took it from Palm Beach State College before applying for the job. She's a graduate of Bowder College from Fort Lauderdale and has been exceptional in responding to our request for the application process. She was interviewed by a panel of the police department members, and she is the best candidate we can present to you.
Well, welcome to the town of Ocean Ridge, Ms. Cohen.
If I can follow up on that.
Follow up.
A month or so ago, we presented you with another candidate for confirmation for hire and did not have the ability to have her here. And you asked that she be present for introductions. So Zoe Arnold is our next newest dispatcher, and she has been working with us for about 6 or 8 weeks now and is progressing extremely well in her training.
Well, belated welcome to the town of Ocean Ridge. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just need a confirmation to hire.
Let's make a motion for the confirmation hiring.
Make a motion for confirmation for hiring for Clerk Jennifer Cohen by the Ocean Ridge Police Department.
You guys do all the easy stuff.
Are you a second?
I read it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion is second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Thank you, Zoe. All right, moving on to resolutions. Tracy?
Resolution number 2017-02, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, designating the Town Planning and Zoning Commission, including the alternates, as the Town Infrastructure Surtax Citizen Oversight Committee, establishing the responsibilities and duties of the Oversight Committee, establishing procedures for the conduct of meetings and operations, establishing a sunset date, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All right, so we've all read this. We know what this is all about, right? Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the designation of Planning and Zoning Board and its alternate members to serve in the capacity of the town's independent oversight by citizen committee as required by the county ordinance relative to the additional sales tax that we're receiving.
Second.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. First reading of ordinance number 617. Tracy?
Ordinance number 617, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Officers and Employees, Division 3, Town Clerk, to clarify the requirements of the Town Clerk, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Brian?
Basically, what this ordinance does, it's more of a housekeeping type of ordinance. It provides if the town clerk cannot attend a meeting, that the deputy town clerk can attend the meeting. It further provides that, I guess what we found is that, there's language in the ordinance that basically says the only way that funds can be paid out of the town is by check or voucher signed by the town clerk and by countersigned by a member of the commission. However, there are funds that are paid by the town that are not paid that way. They're paid electronically, which is the way a lot of municipalities pay their funds nowadays. And so this would allow that to take place. The funds, it does have the provision in there that any of the reoccurring funds that are paid out electronically, it will only be done so by an agreement that's approved by the commission or where it's been approved in the adopted annual budget. So you would have already taken action on those funds going out anyway.
So can a fresh electronic fund be sent without cosigning?
It can if there has been an agreement that you all have seen and signed off on, or if the reason or the payment of that has been approved, it's where it's actually in the annual budget that you've already seen and adopted. So yes, it could. Provided it meets one of those requirements. And it's my understanding, I think we're kind of doing that now. Okay. So this is kind of clarifying what's taking place.
Okay.
I went over that with the town attorney earlier this week, and we straightened out whatever issues I thought. It's really not a whole lot of significant payments. It's just the automatic payments for the
Bank of America loan?
Yeah, it's the loan and the payments to the retirement account, right?
Yes, and I think, I don't know,
Couple other
Tracy,
things.
is there a couple other, I think you had given me 2 or 3 examples.
Yep, Florida Power and Light.
FP&L, yes, things
FP&L.
like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But what
So-
happens to something like the monthly payment for the koi pond, which we?
No, we have to.
No.
No, it's got to be.
That
No.
stays.
No, that stays, yeah. We worked through all that language, so this just covers those particular items, and we can't like have an automatic transfer to the Jim Bonfiglio vacation fund,
Right.
No, I mean, really, we talked
Precisely.
about those kind of issues, yeah.
Okay.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 617 as set forth in item number 13 for our regular commission meeting, February 6, 2017.
Second.
The motion is second. Any other discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, number 14, Tracy?
Ordinance number 618, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 6, Finance, by deleting Division 1 generally and by creating a new Division 1 Purchasing Code to provide for regulations governing the purchasing of goods and services, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Ryan, you want to explain this?
Okay, basically, you have an ordinance in front of you. Attached to the ordinance is a town purchasing policy. The policy will not actually be adopted by you until the ordinance is adopted on second reading, which would probably be next meeting. So as far as the ordinance goes, this ordinance clarifies, it doesn't change. I guess let me first of all start out by saying it does not give the manager any greater power to approve to approve dollar amounts than what was previously granted. There's still the $10,000 cap in here for acquisitions, and anything above that would have to come to the commission. It does provide that there are standards or there are ways in here that if a item meets a town standard, or if there's an ongoing, if there is an item that only there's a certain type of material or something like that that we have to use for certain, if we have, say, Motorola products and we have to continually use Motorola products to do something, then it gives you the leeway to do that, where before it wasn't really spelled out, where it was basically, well, you had to go out to bid or do something like that to say, okay, we can only use Motorola type of products. Here it gives the leeway of you will not, there's probably not a reason to go out to bid if they're a sole source. We specify that. We also provide that there is, we clarify, I guess, as far as the department head acquisitions of $1,000 or less. We also clarify the bid protest procedure, which you did not have in your code at the time, so this clarifies how bid protests could be handled. It provides for extensions of contracts that are approved either by the manager or by yourselves for a certain period of time in order to allow us to go out to bid. It also provides for, let's see here, there are certain exemptions: professional services, specialty goods, emergency acquisitions. Those are things that in your code you are allowed to purchase without going out to bid, provided that certain requirements have been met. And then there's also sole source standards. There's utilization of other government contracts, cooperative acquisitions, and then there are certain exemptions that where we do not have to get three competitive or three written quotes or competitive solicitation. Those are like, utilities, payroll deductions, pension plan contributions. We spell that out in the code itself to say that these are exemptions that we are not required to go out to bid for. And it's essentially kind of clarifying what you've been doing, but by putting language in here in case, someone comes to you and says, okay, well, how did you do that? We have a code section that says this is what allows us to do this. So it's not, once again, it's not really giving the manager any more authority than what he has had in the past, but it is providing a pathway for you all. If you need to approve something, then you could do it under the code without a requirement that, we have to or we're required to go out to bid, because there's no other pathway to get there, even though we know there may only be one bidder.
Okay. Jim, you looked that over?
Yeah, I looked it over and met with the town attorney, the manager, and the clerk, and I think is this the one we tweaked some of the language, or the other one?
No, it's this one.
It's this one? Okay. And we, again, made sure, I think, that, it had the correct safeguards to prevent automatically paying somebody without our oversight. So, I think it's pretty good.
So, and we're doing all this one before and this one, just to basically make our code more detailed so that it's more understandable and not vague?
Well, if the problem that you get into, if there's something that's not spelled out in the code, then the IG or some other agency could come along and go, well, how did you do this, without actually going out to bid, because your code doesn't specify how you're allowed to just go to one vendor, even though they're the only vendor, even though no one else can bid on this. But then by code we would still be required to, okay, let's draft an RFP, let's send it out, and let's get the one response back, and let's do that. This allows you all to look at that and say, no, this is what we're allowed to do by our code. So it's not a means of skirting an issue. I mean, as a matter of fact, the code that I kind of borrowed this from is one that I had drafted in another municipality that the IG had kind of looked at and said, this is a good code. So that's why I'm kind of recommending this format.
Yeah, I think it kind of essentially codifies in our code what we've been informally doing, and it gives us a basis if we ever get audited or questioned this is the manager's authority to spend this money for this particular project.
The way it was explained to me was it makes the code match our practices.
Right.
Okay.
So on the,
So make sure everybody's kind of aware of what we're doing. It sounds like a lot of words up there, but basically it's, so we're all doing it the right way, in other words, right?
So, can I ask a
Well,
quick question?
just a second.
Yeah.
Get your chance. All right, so, you want to, anybody make a motion?
I think, couldn't we simply just say, I make a motion to pass ordinance number 618 that deletes Division 1 generally and creates a new Division 1 purchasing code to provide for regulations governing the purchase of goods and services, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Or, I mean, I guess you could say you're just moving to pass ordinance number 618 on first reading.
Yeah. Why don't you say that when we're doing the other ones?
Is that so moved? All right, so is that your
Second.
motion?
Yes.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
Any other discussion? Public comment?
Just quickly, this doesn't, I read this, but I of course didn't commit it to memory, but the requirement that the town manager can spend up to $10,000 is still in there.
Yes.
And he's the operating officer of the town.
That's correct.
You folks are the policymakers. But the thing that was irritating with the previous town manager is that he would come into you, he'd wait a whole month and come into you to spend $5 on a pack of toilet paper. I mean, the manager ought to be able to go and spend the money and then come to you to the next meeting and say, this is how I did it and this is what I spent it on, without coming back and begging you guys for $500 when they need to do something. Then you wait another month, you wait another month. Am I okay with this comment? About,
Yeah,
not reoccurring charges like payroll, that happens automatically.
I think as been mentioned up here, this just aligns our policies and our thresholds in the ordinances as it is in practice in the policies of the town. We never had any problem with the thresholds or the procedures.
Good.
We just wanted to make it align and be ironclad so that when it's questioned or examined,
Well, my
it actually
concern is
matches what we do.
just slowing you down. If you have something you have to do.
Not at all, because the commission approves the budget, and they also approve anything that exceeds the threshold. So the procedures are there. It just, as you're seeing in a number of ordinances that our new attorneys are bringing forward, we're trying to modernize the town's codes to match the practices in current law and best practices.
It's a great thing. I mean, I think we missed out on it for a long time.
To your point, though, what you're saying is that, yeah, the town commission is trying not to micromanage.
Right.
When it comes down to the town manager doing his job.
That's the way the charter is written.
Right.
And he ought to be able to do what he needs to do and then come back to you and say,
This is
we
what we
did
have
it, we
to do."
followed the procedure, you know, I
Absolutely.
spent $8,000 on this or that or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Lastly, can we kill the disco light somehow or fix it?
I think it's
This one
killing
here?
me.
It's just driving me nuts.
Fix that. We're going to get that fixed.
The contractor, it's a ballast in the background. It requires an electrical contractor. They're on call, ready.
Okay.
Every time one of these goes out, we gotta bring in an outside contractor?
Well, thank you, everyone, for coming, and see you next month. Meeting adjourned.